It was a quiet Tuesday morning, just like any other. In cities across Earth, people were going about their daily routines. Students sat in classrooms, taking notes as teachers lectured on history and science. Office workers typed away at computers, answering emails and attending meetings. Children laughed and played in parks, chasing each other under the warm sunlight. Life seemed normal, ordinary even. But high above the planet, something extraordinary was happening. Something that would change everything humanity thought it knew about its place in the universe. Unbeknownst to the billions of humans below, a fleet of alien ships had entered Earth's orbit. These weren't small scout vessels or curious explorers. They were massive warships, sleek and menacing, gliding silently through space. Their surfaces shimmered with an iridescent glow, reflecting light in ways no human technology could replicate. Each ship stretched for miles, bristling with weapons capable of obliterating entire continents. At the helm of this armada was the Zorathian Empire, a race notorious throughout the galaxy for its ruthless expansion and unmatched technological prowess. The Zorathians had heard whispers of Earth before. To them, it was nothing more than a primitive backwater world barely worth noticing. Sure, the humans had made some progress. They'd sent probes into space, landed on their moon, and built satellites. But compared to the Zorathians' centuries of interstellar conquest, these achievements were laughable. Still, the Empire always followed protocol when approaching new worlds. Send scouts, assess defenses, if there were any, and then strike swiftly to claim resources and territory. Today, however, things didn't go according to plan. As the Zorathian fleet approached Earth's atmosphere, they expected to see what they always saw during invasions: chaos, confusion, and fear. They anticipated panicked broadcasts from terrified governments, futile attempts at resistance using outdated fighter jets and missiles. What they found instead left them speechless. Without warning, the skies over every continent began to shift. It wasn't clouds moving or storms brewing. It was something far stranger. Massive structures descended from above, emerging from thin air as if tearing through invisible veils. Towering star destroyers, each larger than the biggest cities, on Earth revealed themselves in all their glory. Their metallic hulls gleamed menacingly under the sun, casting long shadows that darkened entire landscapes. The sheer size of these ships was enough to make anyone feel insignificant. Some were shaped like jagged mountains, while others resembled smooth, angular fortresses. Every detail screamed power and precision. For a moment, the Zorathians froze. Their sensors scrambled to process what they were seeing. How could such enormous vessels have remained hidden until now? Had they been cloaked? If so, why reveal themselves only now? Questions raced through the minds of the alien commanders, but none of the answers brought comfort. One thing became painfully clear. Humanity wasn't as primitive as they'd assumed. On board, the lead Zorathian ship, Commander Vrax, stared at the holographic display showing Earth's newfound defenders. His mandibles twitched nervously, a rare sign of unease among his species. This changes everything," he muttered to his second-in-command, a female officer named Trelka. "We've underestimated them." Trelka nodded grimly. Our intel said Earth had no advanced military capabilities, no orbital defense systems. Nothing like this. She gestured toward the image of one of the star destroyers, her voice tinged with disbelief. How did they develop this level of technology without detection? Vrax clenched his fists tightly. He hated being wrong, especially when it came to strategy. For decades, the Zorathian Empire had prided itself on thorough reconnaissance and flawless execution. Yet here they were, blindsided by a supposed backwater planet. Worse still, the humans hadn't fired a single shot yet. They simply loomed there, silent and imposing, daring the invaders to make the next move. Back on Earth, most people remained blissfully unaware of the drama unfolding above their heads. News outlets reported strange lights in the sky, sparking, debates online about UFO sightings and government cover-ups. Social media buzzed with speculation. Some joked about aliens finally arriving, while others dismissed the phenomenon as weather anomalies or satellite reflections. Only a handful of individuals truly understood the gravity of the situation. Among them was Captain Elena Vega, a decorated astronaut turned military strategist who had spent years preparing for moments like this. Elena stood inside the command center of the largest star destroyer, codenamed Odyssey. Around her, technicians worked feverishly at glowing consoles, monitoring data streams and coordinating responses. Her sharp eyes scanned the screens displaying real-time footage of the Zorathian fleet. Though outwardly calm, her heart pounded with anticipation. This was it, the moment humanity stepped out of the shadows and announced itself to the cosmos. "Status report," she barked, addressing her crew. "All systems operational, Captain," replied Lieutenant Daniels, her second in command. "Energy. Shields are holding steady and weapon systems are primed. We're ready whenever you give the order." Elena nodded approvingly. "Good. Let's not waste time. Patch me through to the Zorathian flagship. It's time we introduced ourselves properly." Moments later, a grainy image flickered onto the main screen. Commander Vrax appeared, his insectoid features distorted slightly by transmission interference. Behind him, rows of officers scurried about, clearly flustered. Elena wasted no time with pleasantries. "To the unidentified fleet hovering near our planet," she began, her tone firm and authoritative. "You have entered restricted airspace. Identify yourselves immediately and state your intentions." Vrax hesitated, caught off guard by the human's boldness. After a brief pause, he responded, "I am Commander Vrax of the Zorathian Empire. Your planet has valuable resources we intend to claim. Surrender peacefully, and we may spare your lives." A ripple of tension ran through the command center, but Elena didn't falter. Instead, she allowed herself a faint smile. "Claim our resources? Spare us? That's amusing." Leaning closer to the camera, she added, "Let me make one thing crystal clear. You will leave Earth's orbit immediately, or face consequences you cannot imagine." Her words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken threat. For a moment, neither side spoke. Then slowly, Vrax raised a claw-like hand to signal someone off-screen. Whatever he intended to do next, it was clear he wouldn't back down easily. And so the stage was set. Humanity's greatest test had begun, not just a battle for survival, but a chance to prove itself worthy of standing alongside the stars. As the two forces squared off, the fate of the planet, and perhaps the entire galaxy, hung precariously in the balance. The truth behind the Star Destroyers was as astonishing as it was improbable. For decades, humanity had been preparing for a moment like this, not openly, but in secret, hidden from prying eyes and potential threats. The origins of Earth's newfound power traced back to an unexpected discovery buried deep beneath the icy wilderness of Antarctica. It was there, in the harshest and most remote corner of the planet, that scientists stumbled upon something that would change everything: ancient alien ruins. At first glance, these ruins appeared unremarkable, crumbling structures half buried under centuries of ice and snow. But as researchers began excavating, they uncovered artifacts unlike anything ever seen on Earth. Strange symbols etched into walls glowed faintly when touched, and metallic objects hummed with an energy that defied explanation. Most intriguing of all were the blueprints, complex diagrams detailing technologies far beyond human understanding. For years, governments debated what to do with the discovery. Some argued it should remain classified, fearing the implications of revealing such advanced knowledge to the public. Others believed it could propel humanity into a new age of prosperity. Eventually, a decision was made. The project would proceed in absolute secrecy, funded by every major nation and overseen by a coalition of scientists, engineers, and military strategists. The task ahead was daunting. The blueprints were written in an alien language, their meanings obscured by cryptic symbols and equations. That seemed impossible to decode. Yet through sheer determination and occasional strokes of genius, humanity began to unravel the mysteries contained within. Piece by piece, the designs were translated, adapted, and reconstructed using Earth's existing materials and methods. What emerged from this monumental effort was nothing short of revolutionary. Building the Star Destroyers. The first Star Destroyer took nearly 20 years to build. Codenamed Odyssey, it was constructed in a hidden facility carved into the side of a mountain. Workers lived and labored in isolation, sworn to secrecy under penalty of imprisonment, or worse. The scale of the project was staggering. Each component required precision engineering, often pushing the limits of what was physically possible. What set the Star Destroyers apart from any previous human creation was their integration of artificial intelligence. Unlike traditional ships, which relied solely on human operators, the Star Destroyers were designed to function as extensions of their crews' minds. Advanced AI systems monitored every system, predicted malfunctions before they occurred, and assisted pilots in combat scenarios. These AIs weren't mere machines, they were partners, capable of thinking faster and acting smarter than any living being. But the real marvel lay in the weapon systems. Plasma cannons, energy shields, and targeting arrays worked seamlessly, together, creating a force multiplier that made the Star Destroyers nearly invincible. Each ship bristled with enough firepower to level entire cities, yet its true strength lay in its versatility. Whether engaging enemy fighters, defending against orbital bombardment, or deploying ground troops, the Star Destroyers excelled in every role. As construction progressed, additional vessels were commissioned, each larger and more sophisticated than the last. By the time the Zorathians arrived, Earth boasted a fleet of 5 fully operational Star Destroyers, with several more nearing completion. They remained cloaked until the moment of truth, hidden from view by experimental shielding. Technology reverse-engineered from the alien ruins. To the rest of the world, and indeed to the universe at large, their existence was unknown. A world unaware. While humanity's leaders and scientists worked tirelessly to prepare for the inevitable encounter with extraterrestrial life, the general population remained blissfully unaware. News outlets occasionally reported strange lights in the sky or mysterious government projects, but these stories were dismissed as conspiracy theories or weather anomalies. Even astronauts stationed aboard orbital stations weren't privy to the full extent of Earth's new arsenal. To most people, the idea of an alien invasion seemed like science fiction, a distant possibility relegated to movies and books. Governments went to great lengths to maintain this illusion, knowing that panic would spread if the truth were revealed too soon. Instead, they focused on training elite pilots, developing countermeasures for potential threats, and ensuring that Earth's defenses were ready to deploy at a moment's notice. Among those chosen for this monumental task was Captain Elena Vega, a decorated astronaut whose career had spanned both civilian and military missions. Born into a family of engineers, Elena had always been fascinated by space exploration. Her natural leadership skills and technical expertise made her an ideal candidate to command the Odyssey. Over the years, she had trained rigorously, mastering the intricacies of the Star Destroyer's systems and forging bonds with her crew. Elena understood the weight of her responsibility. If the time came to reveal Earth's secret weapon, she would be the one leading the charge. It was a burden she carried willingly, driven by a deep sense of duty to protect her home and everyone on it. The moment of revelation. When the Zorathian fleet entered Earth's orbit, the decision to activate the Star Destroyers was made swiftly. Leaders from around the globe convened in a secure bunker where real-time data streams painted a grim picture. The invaders outnumbered humanity's fleet, their ships bristling with weapons capable of obliterating entire continents. Without immediate action, Earth faced annihilation. "Deploy the Star Destroyers," ordered General Marcus Hayes, head of the United Nations Defense Coalition. "Let them see what we're capable of." With a single command, the skies above, Earth parted. Massive structures descended from hidden cloaking fields, their metallic hulls gleaming ominously under the sun. The sight left civilians awestruck and terrified in equal measure. Social media erupted with questions and speculation, while news anchors scrambled to make sense of what was happening. For the Zorathians, the revelation was devastating. Their sensors scrambled to process the sudden appearance of such enormous vessels, each radiating power levels far exceeding their own. Panic rippled through their ranks as they realized their superiority myth had been shattered. Commander Vrax, leader of the Zorathian fleet, stared at the holographic display showing Earth's defenders. His mandibles twitched nervously, a rare sign of unease among his species. This changes everything, he muttered to his second-in-command, Trelka. Trelka nodded grimly. Our intel said Earth had no advanced military capabilities. How did they develop this level of technology? Vrax clenched his fists tightly. He hated being wrong, especially when it came to strategy. For centuries, the Zorathian Empire had prided itself on thorough reconnaissance and flawless execution, yet here they were, blindsided by a supposedly primitive species. Worse still, the humans hadn't fired a single shot yet. They simply loomed there, silent and imposing, daring the invaders to make the next move. Humanity's resolve, on board the Odyssey. Captain Elena Vega addressed her crew, her voice steady and unwavering. Today, we show the universe that humanity is not to be underestimated, she declared. We've spent decades preparing for this moment. Now it's time to prove ourselves. Her words resonated deeply, inspiring confidence among the crew. Though many felt fear gnawing at the edges of their minds, they trusted in Elena's leadership and the technology surrounding them. Together they formed a cohesive unit, united by a shared purpose, to defend Earth at all costs. As the Zorathians hesitated, humanity seized the initiative. The Star Destroyers positioned themselves strategically, forming a protective barrier around the planet. Energy shields flared to life, creating an impenetrable dome that stretched across continents. Below, civilians watched in awe as the skies shimmered with an otherworldly glow. For the first time in history, humanity stood ready to face the cosmos, not as victims, but as warriors. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate of billions. And though the outcome remained uncertain, one thing was clear: humanity would not go down without a fight. Far away, in the depths of space, whispers of Earth's defiance began to spread. To some it was a warning, to others a challenge. Whatever the reaction, one truth was undeniable. Humanity had stepped onto the galactic stage, and the universe would never look at Earth the same way again. The tension between Earth's Star Destroyers and the Zorathian fleet was palpable, like the calm before a storm. Both sides hovered in silence, each waiting for the other to make the first move. On board the Zorathian flagship, Commander Vrax paced furiously, his clawed feet clinking against the metallic floor. His mind raced with calculations and contingency plans, but none of them offered a clear path forward. For centuries, the Zorathians had dominated weaker species without resistance. They were conquerors, not negotiators. Yet here they were, facing an enemy that seemed as advanced, if not more so, than themselves. Vrax knew he couldn't retreat. Now, doing so would be seen as weakness, and the Zorathian Empire thrived on fear. If word got out that they had been intimidated by a supposedly primitive species, it would undermine their authority across the galaxy. No, he decided. Retreat was not an option. Instead, he would show these humans just how dangerous the Zorathians could be. On Earth's side, Captain Elena Vega stood resolute in the command center of the Odyssey. Her sharp eyes scanned the holographic displays, showing the positions of both fleets. Though outwardly calm, her heart beat rapidly. She had trained for years for moments like this, but nothing could fully prepare her for the reality of commanding humanity's first line of defense against an alien invasion. Still, she refused to let doubt creep in. Humanity's survival depended on her leadership, and she wasn't about to fail. "Status update," she ordered, addressing Lieutenant Daniels, her trusted second-in-command. "All systems are operational, Captain," Daniels replied promptly. "Energy shields at full capacity. Weapon systems online and ready. Pilot standing by for deployment." Elena nodded. "Good. Keep monitoring their movements. I want to know the moment they twitch." As if on cue, alarms suddenly blared throughout the command center. A red warning flashed on the main screen. "Incoming weapon fire detected." Everyone froze for a split second before snapping into action. "Report!" Elena barked, her voice cutting through the chaos. "One of their cruisers has fired, Captain," shouted a technician. "It's targeting New York City." Elena clenched her fists. So the Zorathians wanted to send a message. Fine. She would give them one right back. "Activate primary shield grid," she commanded. "Divert all available power to the atmospheric barrier." Seconds later, a blinding beam of energy streaked toward Earth. It was unlike anything humanity had ever faced, a concentrated burst of destructive force capable of leveling entire cities. But instead of striking its intended target, the beam collided with an invisible wall shimmering faintly in the sky. The energy shield absorbed the impact effortlessly, dispersing the blast harmlessly into the atmosphere. Cheers erupted in the command center, but Elena silenced them with a raised hand. "Stay focused," she said sharply. "This isn't over yet." High above Earth, the Zorathians watched in stunned disbelief as their attack fizzled out. Commander Vrax growled in frustration. "How is this possible?" he demanded, turning to his science officer. "Their technology shouldn't be able to withstand that kind of firepower." "It doesn't make sense," the officer stammered. "Our scans show no prior evidence of such advancements. Their civilization appears decades behind ours," Vrax snarled. "Then explain why my ship's best weapon failed to scratch them." Before anyone could respond, another alarm sounded. This time it came from the human fleet. "Captain Vega, we've detected movement from the lead Star Destroyer," reported a radar operator. Elena's lips curled into a faint smile. "They're counterattacking. Stay sharp, everyone." What followed was a spectacle that left both sides and anyone watching from afar breathless. The Odyssey unleashed its main cannon, a massive weapon mounted on its underside. With a deafening hum, the cannon charged, glowing brighter with each passing second. Then, with a blinding flash, it fired. A concentrated burst of plasma shot through space, moving faster than the eye could follow. It struck the offending Zorathian cruiser dead center, piercing its hull like paper. The once mighty vessel exploded in a fiery inferno, its debris scattering across the void. Shockwaves rippled through the remaining alien ships as they scrambled to regroup. For the Zorathians, it was a wake-up call. They had assumed humanity's star destroyers were mere bluff, an empty threat meant to intimidate. Now they realized their mistake. These humans weren't bluffing. They were deadly serious. Commander Vrax gritted his teeth, his pride wounded but his resolve unshaken. "All ships prepare for evasive maneuvers," he ordered. "Launch fighters and disable their weapons. Do whatever it takes to bring them down." In response, dozens of sleek Zorathian fighters emerged from the larger ships, swarming toward the human fleet like angry hornets. Each fighter bristled with cannons and missiles designed for hit-and-run tactics. To the untrained eye, they seemed unstoppable. But Elena Vega had anticipated this. "Deploy interceptors," she commanded, "and activate the AI combat drones." Within moments, Earth's own fleet of fighters soared into battle. Unlike traditional aircraft, these ships were piloted by a combination of skilled human pilots and artificial intelligences. The AI-controlled drones moved with precision and speed, far beyond what any living being could achieve. Together they formed a seamless team, weaving through the chaos with uncanny accuracy. The dogfight that ensued was nothing short of breathtaking. Plasma bolts and laser beams crisscrossed the void, lighting up the darkness like fireworks. Zorathian fighters darted and spun, trying to evade the relentless barrage from their human counterparts. But for every dodge, there was a counterattack. For every near miss, there was a direct hit. Lieutenant Marcus Kane, one of Earth's top pilots, found himself locked in a fierce duel with a particularly aggressive Zorathian ace. The alien pilot was skilled, weaving unpredictably and firing bursts of energy that narrowly missed Kane's cockpit. Sweat dripped down Kane's brow as he pushed his fighter to its limits, performing barrel rolls and sharp turns to stay alive. "You're good," Kane muttered under his breath, grinning despite the danger. "But you haven't seen my best trick yet." With a flick of his controls, Kane activated a cloaking device installed in his fighter. In an instant, his ship vanished from sight, leaving the Zorathian pilot momentarily disoriented. Seizing the opportunity, Kane reappeared directly behind his opponent, and unleashed a volley of plasma torpedoes. The alien fighter exploded in a brilliant flash, sending fragments spiraling into the void. Kane whooped in triumph as he pulled away, already scanning for his next target. Around him, the tide of battle was shifting. The Zorathian fleet, once confident and organized, now struggled to keep formation. Their numbers dwindled with each passing minute, while Earth's defenders pressed their advantage relentlessly. Back aboard the Odyssey, Captain Vega observed the unfolding carnage with steely determination. Victory was within reach, but she knew better than to celebrate prematurely. Battles could turn on a single misstep, and she wouldn't let complacency cost them everything. "Focus fire on their command ship," she instructed. "If we take out their leadership, the rest will fall apart." Her orders were executed flawlessly. The Star Destroyers converged on the Zorathian flagship, unleashing a barrage of plasma torpedoes and energy beams. Shields flared and buckled under the relentless assault, until finally, the massive vessel listed dangerously to one side. Explosions erupted along its hull, signaling critical damage. Inside the flagship, panic spread among the Zorathian crew. Commander Vrax roared orders, trying to rally his subordinates, but even he couldn't deny the inevitability of defeat. His empire's reputation was crumbling before his eyes, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. "We're losing too much ground," Trelka warned, gripping her console tightly. "We need to retreat before they destroy us completely." Vrax hesitated, his pride warring with practicality. Finally, he slammed his fist onto the armrest of his chair. "Fine," he spat. "Issue the retreat order. But mark my words, we will return. And when we do, Earth will pay for this humiliation." One by one, the surviving Zorathian ships broke formation and fled into deep space, their engines blazing as they escaped the wrath of humanity's newfound power. Cheers erupted across the human fleet, echoing through comm channels and command centers alike. For the first time in history, humanity had defended itself against an alien invasion, and won. As the last of the Zorathian vessels disappeared into the distance, Captain Vega allowed herself a small smile. Turning to her crew, she said simply, "Well done, everyone. You've made history today." Yet, even as celebrations began, Elena knew the fight wasn't truly over. The Zorathians had retreated, but they wouldn't stay gone forever. Somewhere out there, lurking in the vastness of space, other threats awaited. Humanity had proven itself capable of defending its home, but maintaining that defense would require vigilance, unity, and preparation for whatever came next. Far above Earth, the Star Destroyers remained vigilant, their weapons primed and their crews ready. The skies may have parted once, but they would do so again if necessary. For now, though, humanity could breathe easy. For the first time, they had stood toe-to-toe with an interstellar power and emerged victorious. It was a new chapter in Earth's story, one written not with fear, but with courage. And as the sun set over the horizon, casting long shadows across the planet below, the people of Earth loo. The Zorathian retreat brought a wave of relief across Earth, but the victory was bittersweet. Humanity had proven its strength, yet the cost of the battle lingered in the air, both literally and figuratively. Debris from destroyed alien ships floated aimlessly in orbit, a grim reminder of the violence that had unfolded. On the ground, news outlets broadcast images of the Star Destroyers hovering protectively above cities, their massive forms casting long shadows over humanity's fragile existence. People celebrated the triumph, but questions lingered. Why had the Zorathians come? Would they return? And most importantly, what else lay out there in the vastness of space? Captain Elena Vega stood in the command center of the Odyssey, her sharp eyes scanning reports streaming in from every corner of the fleet. Though outwardly calm, her mind raced with concerns. The Zorathians' withdrawal wasn't just an act of surrender, it was tactical. They had retreated to regroup, to plan their next move, and when they returned, they would come stronger, angrier, and more determined than before. "Captain," Lieutenant Daniels interrupted her thoughts, his voice tinged with urgency. "We're picking up unusual energy readings from their flagship." Elena frowned. What kind of readings? Daniels hesitated, glancing at the data on his console. It's hard to explain, it's like nothing we've seen before. Their power levels are spiking and it's localized around one section of the ship. Whatever they're doing, it's big. Elena's stomach tightened. Big wasn't good, not when it came to the Zorathians. She turned to the main screen where a holographic image of the enemy fleet flickered. Most of the ships had already fled, but the flagship remained behind, drifting silently in space. Its battered hull bore scars from the earlier battle, yet it still loomed menacingly, a symbol of defiance even in retreat. "Patch me through to engineering," Elena ordered, "and get me Dr. Patel immediately." Moments later, Dr. Arjun Patel appeared on the secondary monitor. A brilliant physicist and one of the architects behind Earth's advanced technology, Patel had been instrumental in reverse engineering the alien ruins found in Antarctica. His expertise might hold the key to understanding what the Zorathians were planning. "What do you have for me, Doctor?" Elena asked without preamble. Patel adjusted his glasses, his expression grave. "Based on our scans, Captain, it appears they're attempting to activate some sort of experimental weapon. We're calling it the Nova Core. From what little we can gather, it has the potential to destabilize entire planets, to quite literally tear them apart at a molecular level." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "Can they finish activating it?" "That's the problem," Patel replied. "They're close, but not close enough. If we act quickly, we might be able to stop them." Elena didn't hesitate. "How much time do we have?" "Not much," Patel admitted. "An hour, maybe 2 at most. After that, it'll be too late." Elena turned back to her crew. "Lieutenant Daniels, assemble a strike team. We're going aboard that flagship." The room erupted in murmurs of disbelief. Boarding an alien vessel mid-battle was suicide, or so it seemed. But Elena knew they had no choice. If the Nova Core went online, Earth would be reduced to cosmic dust. The infiltration mission. 30 minutes later, a small squadron of elite pilots prepared to launch from the Odyssey. Among them was Lieutenant Marcus Kane, whose reckless bravery had already earned him legendary status among the crew. Despite his cocky demeanor, Kane was a natural leader, someone others instinctively followed into danger. Today, however, he carried an uncharacteristic weight on his shoulders. This mission wasn't about glory or proving himself. It was about survival. Failure meant extinction. As the boarding party geared up, Elena addressed them via comms. "Your objective is simple. Infiltrate the flagship, locate the Nova Core, and disable it. Use whatever means necessary. Remember, time is critical. If you encounter resistance, don't engage unless absolutely necessary. Our priority is stopping that weapon." Kane nodded, his usual grin replaced by steely determination. "Understood, Captain. We won't let you down." With that, the pilots climbed into their sleek interceptors and launched toward the Zorathian flagship. As they approached, the ship's defenses came alive, firing bursts of plasma and deploying automated turrets. The human fighters darted and weaved through the chaos, their AI-assisted systems calculating evasive maneuvers faster than any living pilot could manage. Reaching the flagship's docking bay, the strike team disengaged from their ships and breached the hull using specialized cutting tools. Inside, they found themselves in a labyrinth of dimly lit corridors, filled with strange machinery and glowing conduits. The air smelled metallic, tinged with something faintly acidic. Every step echoed ominously, as if the ship itself was watching them. "Stay alert," Kane whispered, motioning for his team to fan out. "We don't know what's waiting for us." They moved cautiously, guided by schematics provided by the engineers back on the Odyssey. The Nova Core was located deep within the ship, protected by layers of security and heavily armed guards. Along the way, the team encountered traps, doors slamming shut, floors collapsing, and drones programmed to attack intruders. But they pressed on, driven by adrenaline and the knowledge that failure wasn't an option. At one point, Kane narrowly avoided a laser grid that would have sliced him in half. He muttered a curse under his breath, wiping sweat from his brow. "These guys really don't want visitors," he quipped, trying to lighten the mood. "No kidding. replied another pilot, a young woman named Riley. Let's just hope they haven't finished setting up their planet killer. Finally, after what felt like hours, the team reached the chamber housing the Nova Core. The sight took their breath away. The device was enormous, pulsating with a sickly green light that illuminated the entire room. Strange symbols etched into its surface glowed brighter with each passing second, signaling its activation process nearing completion. "This is it," Kane said, stepping forward. "We need to shut this thing down. Now." But as he approached, a group of Zorathian soldiers emerged from the shadows, weapons drawn. Behind them stood Commander Vrax himself, his mandibles twitching in anger. "You humans never learn, do you?" Vrax snarled. "You think you can stop us? You're merely delaying the inevitable." Kane raised his weapon, ready to fight, but Vrax held up a clawed hand. "No need for further bloodshed. Your efforts are futile. The Nova Core will activate soon, and your precious planet will burn." For a moment, Kane hesitated. Then, with a defiant smirk, he replied, "Maybe, but I wouldn't bet on it. It's your sacrifice." The ensuing firefight was intense. Plasma bolts ricocheted off walls and explosions rocked the chamber. Kane and his team fought valiantly, taking down several Zorathian soldiers, but they were outnumbered. Worse still, the Nova Core's activation sequence continued uninterrupted, its hum growing louder and more ominous. Realizing time was running out, Kane made a split-second decision. "Riley, fall back," he shouted. "I'll handle this." "What are you talking about?" Riley demanded, ducking behind cover as another blast narrowly missed her. "There's no other way," Kane said firmly. "Get everyone out of here now!" Before Riley could argue, Kane sprinted toward the Nova Core, dodging enemy fire. Reaching the control panel, he pulled out a handheld EMP device, a last-ditch tool designed to overload electronic systems. Activating it would destroy the Nova Core, but it would also create a massive explosion. There was no way he'd survive. "Marcus, no!" Riley screamed over the comms. Kane ignored her, focusing on the task at hand. With trembling hands, he set the timer and planted the device directly onto the core. Looking back one final time, he gave a thumbs up to his teammates. "Tell my mom I love her," he joked weakly before triggering the countdown. As the team evacuated, the Nova Core detonated prematurely, engulfing the chamber in a blinding flash of light. The shockwave rippled through the flagship, causing catastrophic damage. Outside, the remaining Zorathian ships scrambled to escape the debris field, abandoning their stricken command vessel. Back aboard the Odyssey, Elena watched as the flagship broke apart, consumed by flames. Her heart sank as she realized the cost of their victory. "Status report," she said quietly, her voice heavy with emotion. "All enemy ships are retreating, Captain," Daniels reported. "The Nova Core has been neutralized." Elena nodded, though tears welled in her eyes. "Good work, everyone. Let's head home." Reflection. Though Earth was safe for now, the loss of Lieutenant Marcus Kane weighed heavily on the crew. Stories of his bravery spread quickly, inspiring both admiration and sorrow. For Elena Vega, the mission reinforced a harsh truth: protecting humanity required sacrifice. Yet despite the pain, it also strengthened her resolve. Addressing the United Nations days later, Elena called for unity and vigilance. "Today we showed the universe that humanity is capable of greatness," she declared. "But tomorrow, we must continue working together to ensure our survival. The stars may hold wonders, but they also hold dangers. We cannot afford to be complacent." Her words resonated deeply, sparking global efforts to expand Earth's defenses and explore the cosmos. Humanity had taken its first step toward becoming a galactic power, but it was only the beginning. Far away in the depths of space, the surviving Zorathians vowed revenge. Earth had proven itself a formidable foe, but the galaxy was vast and full of threats, Gray. The aftermath of the battle left Earth in a state of cautious optimism. The skies, once filled with the ominous presence of alien invaders, now shimmered peacefully under the glow of humanity's star destroyers. For the first time in recorded history, humanity had stood toe-to-toe with an interstellar power and won. Yet as the initial euphoria faded, the reality of what had transpired began to sink in. Lieutenant Marcus Kane's sacrifice weighed heavily on those who had known him, and his name became synonymous with bravery and selflessness. Across the planet, memorials were erected in his honor, and stories of his final moments inspired countless individuals to strive for greatness. Captain Elena Vega, too, felt the weight of leadership more deeply than ever before. Standing on the observation deck of the Odyssey, she gazed out at the stars, her mind racing with thoughts of what lay ahead. The Zorathians had retreated, but their leader's parting words echoed in her memory. "We will return." It wasn't a question of if, it was a question of when. And when they did come back, they would undoubtedly bring reinforcements, weapons even deadlier than the Nova Corps, and a thirst for vengeance that could not be quenched easily. Elena turned to Lieutenant Daniels, who stood beside her, silently, observing the vast expanse of space. "What's the status of our defenses?" she asked, breaking the silence. "All Star Destroyers are operational, Captain," Daniels replied. "Repairs from the last battle are nearly complete, and our energy reserves are stable. However," he hesitated, glancing at his datapad, "Dr. Patel reports that the technology we salvaged from the Zorathian flagship is unlike anything we've seen before. Reverse engineering it will take time we may not have." Elena nodded thoughtfully. The remnants of the Zorathian flagship had been recovered, its wreckage offering a treasure trove of alien tech. While much of it remained incomprehensible, Dr. Patel and his team were working tirelessly to unlock its secrets. If they succeeded, humanity's arsenal would grow exponentially, giving them an edge against future threats. But until then, Earth remained vulnerable. Unity. Amidst uncertainty, on the ground the impact of the battle was profound. Governments that had once squabbled over borders and resources now worked together with unprecedented cooperation. The United Nations convened emergency sessions, drafting plans to fortify Earth's defenses and establish protocols for dealing with extraterrestrial encounters. Resources were pooled, and scientific breakthroughs accelerated as nations shared knowledge and expertise. For ordinary citizens, life slowly returned to normal, or as close to normal as possible after such an event. Schools taught lessons about the battle, emphasizing humanity's resilience and ingenuity. Social media buzzed with theories about other alien species and whether Earth might encounter them soon. Some feared another invasion, others dreamed of peaceful contact. Regardless of perspective, one truth was undeniable. Humanity's place in the universe had changed forever. In this new era, heroes emerged, not just soldiers and scientists, but everyday people who contributed to the collective effort. Farmers grew crops to feed survivors affected by the battle's collateral damage. Engineers designed shelters capable of withstanding orbital bombardment. Artists created murals and sculptures commemorating the sacrifices made to protect Earth. Even children played games inspired by the events, pretending to pilot star destroyers or lead daring missions aboard alien ships. Amidst all this, Elena Vega became a symbol of hope. Her calm demeanor and unwavering resolve inspired millions. When she addressed the world via satellite broadcast, her words carried weight, not because of her rank, but because of her authenticity. "To my fellow humans," she began, standing tall in her uniform, "we have faced the unknown and emerged victorious. But let us not mistake this victory for an end. It is merely the beginning of a journey into the stars. We must remain vigilant, united, and prepared for whatever challenges lie ahead. Together, we can build a future where Earth stands, not as a victim, but as a beacon of strength and wisdom." Her speech resonated globally, sparking movements aimed at fostering unity and innovation. Cities hosted festivals celebrating human achievement, while universities launched programs dedicated to space exploration and defense technologies. Humanity was no longer content to gaze at the stars. It wanted to reach them. Preparing for what lies ahead, Back aboard the Odyssey, preparations continued around the clock. Pilots trained rigorously, simulating battles against hypothetical enemies far superior to the Zorathians. Engineers fine-tuned the Star Destroyer's systems, ensuring they could withstand even greater assaults. Meanwhile, Dr. Patel's team made slow but steady progress deciphering the alien tech recovered from the Zorathian flagship. One discovery stood out above the rest, a fragment of the Nova core itself. Though damaged during the explosion, it contained traces of exotic matter that defied conventional physics. Early experiments suggested it could revolutionize energy production, enabling humanity to create power sources orders of magnitude more efficient than anything currently available. However, harnessing its potential came with risks that reminded everyone of the destructive force it had unleashed. "We're walking a fine line here," Dr. Patel admitted during a briefing with Elena. "This technology could save us, or doom us. Every step forward must be taken carefully." Elena agreed. "Then proceed cautiously, Doctor. We can't afford another catastrophe." As days turned into weeks, Earth's orbit transformed into a fortress. Additional Star Destroyers joined the fleet, constructed using blueprints refined from the Antarctic ruins. Satellites equipped with advanced sensors monitored deep space, scanning for signs of approaching threats. AI networks analyzed data streams, identifying anomalies that might indicate hostile activity. Humanity was ready, or as ready as it could be, for whatever came next. A message to the stars. While Earth focused on defense, Elena proposed an initiative that caught many by surprise: sending a message to the stars. Not a plea for help, or a declaration of war, but a simple statement of intent. Using the most powerful communication array ever built, humanity broadcast a signal into the cosmos, announcing its presence and expressing its desire for peace. "Let the universe know we exist," Elena explained to skeptical officials. "If there are others out there watching, waiting, let them see that we are not afraid, that we are willing to stand up for ourselves, but also open to dialogue." The message included images of Earth's diverse landscapes, recordings of music and languages, and a brief explanation of humanity's achievements. It ended with a single phrase translated into dozens of theoretical alien scripts: "We are here. Let us meet as equals." Critics argued the move was reckless, potentially inviting further aggression. Supporters countered that hiding was no longer an option, not after revealing Earth's capabilities. Whatever the outcome, humanity had chosen to step boldly into the unknown. Legacy of Hope months passed without incident. The Zorathians did not return, nor did any other alien species make contact. Yet, humanity thrived in the absence of conflict. Space exploration initiatives gained momentum, with robotic probes venturing farther than ever before. Plans for manned missions to nearby star systems moved closer to reality, fueled by advancements in propulsion and life support systems. Lieutenant Marcus Kane's legacy lived on, not just in memorials, but in the spirit of determination he embodied. Young recruits entering the newly formed Interstellar Defense Force often cited him as their inspiration. Stories of his final act of heroism became legend, passed down through generations. Captain Elena Vega, meanwhile, remained a guiding figure, steering humanity toward a brighter future. Under her leadership, Earth embraced both caution and curiosity, balancing the need for security with the drive to explore. She believed that humanity's greatest strength lay not in its weapons, but in its ability to adapt, innovate, and unite. And so as the sun set over a grateful planet, people looked upward, not with fear but with hope. The stars, once distant and mysterious, now seemed within reach. Humanity had proven itself capable of facing the unknown, of standing firm against overwhelming odds. Far away, in the depths of space, whispers of Earth's defiance spread among the stars. To some, it was a warning, a reminder that even the smallest spark could ignite a flame. To others, it was an invitation, a call to join hands and forge a new chapter in the story of the cosmos. For Earth, the journey had only just begun.